Tensura X Gate. Thus the JSDF fought their X How a Realist Hero Rebuild the Kingdom by NoruSensei. Chapter 14. First Week of the War, Yao Ha-Adushi's Quest. Rimuru, Original, POV. As I ended the meeting, I then went to my personal library to find one of Claude's after stories. I then found the book that I was looking for. The title of the book is Broken Doll, an alternate after story, by Magnus_Prime. He was one of the authors who continued Claude after the original authors Suzumoto Yuichi, Maeda Jun, Kai and Okano Tuya. Broken Doll. An alternate after story follows after Okazaki Nagisa, whose maiden name was Furukawa. The storyline starts after 15 years of Tomoya's wife's death. His daughter was Okazaki Yushio, who for the first 5 years was separated from his father. Okazaki Tomoya blames himself for his wife's death, so he went into alcoholism and smoking. He got out of it when he visited Yushio when she was 5 years old. Then he took custody of his daughter from his late wife's parents named Furukawa Akio and Sane. There are also some worthy books of different after stories of Claude like After Story, Selflessness, which follows Miyazawa Yukine's route in Claude. Delinquent and the Songbird, the Nishina Rai route, was another famous book that follows a girl named Nishina Rai. In this book, Okazaki Tomoya figures that his childhood friend Ichino's Katomi was in good hands with the theater club. Tomoya then finds himself caught up in the life of the chorus club made by Nishina Rai. Of course, there is a sequel to this book which was titled After Story. Desire. It was also a good book, I would recommend reading it. After Story. Companionship is a book that follows the story of Okazaki Tomoya getting close with Sagara Misai, a dorm mother at Hikarizaka Private High School. What starts as simple revenge of Misai against Tomoya's antics becomes an adventure that deepens the relationship between them. Of course, there are more books like After Story, Determination, After Story, Reconciliation, After Story, Compassion, and After Story, Resolve. All of these books that I have mentioned were made by the same author, Magnus_Prime. I must say, these books came from Cardinal Earth was great. As I got the book, I then took a seat at the couch and started to read the chapter I was on. All I can say is good for him as he found someone who loves him so much. There are also some other girls who like him, but he turns them down as he is not taking another wife. Then there was a knock on the door. You may enter, I said. Then the door opened. It was Shuna who entered inside. She brought some tea with her. Please pardon my intrusion, Donna-sama, said Shuna. Oh Shuna, please seat beside me. I then gestured her to sit on my right. She then seated next to me. Then Shuna prepared the cups for the both of us, then poured us some tea. Here you go, Donna-sama. Shuna gave me the cup of tea. Thank you, I then said as I took a sip. After taking a sip I then placed down the cup back to the plate, which was on the table. You really love that book, Donna-sama, said Shuna as she looks at the book I'm reading. This is not just an ordinary book, Shuna, I said to her. This is a book wherein the Cardinal Earth will think inside this book is only fantasy. But that is not the case, these stories in this book are real. I then explained to her. I see, she then said as she smiled. Shuna then took a sip of her cup of tea. I know when Shuna approaches me like this, she wants to be spoiled. Well, she is my wife after all. Nay, Shuna, I called her. Hi, Donna-sama, she then looks at me. Are you worried about me? I asked. She shook her head. I just want my refill, she said as she then hugs me. Hi, I said as I hugged her. We then stayed like that for a while. When Shuna comes when I'm alone, she is either worried about me or she wants her refill. That would depends on her what kind of refill she would want. I then released her from my hug, then I kissed her. She was surprised by this, but then she kissed it back. At these moments, we tend to enjoy our time with ourselves. Shuna, who is now my wife for the past 41 years now. Wait, isn't today our 41st anniversary? I totally forgot. Oh well, I can just make a gift for her later. As we continued kissing for seems like an eternity, someone knocks on the door. Rimuru-sama, may I come in? A familiar voice said. This caused us to end our kiss so suddenly. We then fixed ourselves, then I said to him to come in. As the door opens, the Supreme General of Tempest came in. "Ah, pardon me for disturbing your quality time together. Rimuru-sama, Shuna-sama." Benimaru immediately said and bowed his head as he saw us. "I can see your smirk there, Benimaru. It's fine, Benimaru. Take a seat," I said. "Ha," he said as he raised his head, then he took a seat on the vacant couch just in front of us. "What is it, Benimaru?" I then asked with a serious expression on my face. Shuna meanwhile stood up and prepared another tea for the three of us. "You don't have to prepare us some tea, Shuna-sama," said Benimaru. "Why, Oni-sama, what did I say when it's just the three of us present?" Shuna asked Benimaru. "Or, do you want me to prepare you some carrot stew?" she then asked with her sharp eyes. "Shuna can be really scary, please don't." "Shuna," Benimaru said as he sweats hard. Shuna then smiles at this as she then prepared us some tea. I then cleared my throat and asked Benimaru what is his purpose of his visit to my personal library. He then sits straight as he said, "Our navy is ready to move out anytime, according to Umi Dono," he reported. Umi is Tempest's Navy Vice Admiral. Her ranking is equal to Benimaru. The Admiral of Tempest's Navy was Velzard. But of course it depends on her if she will be willing to take command or not. I gave her this position 10 years ago, before I give the position of Tempest's Navy Admiral to Velzard. The Navy was under command of Benimaru, serving as its Admiral. As of now, Umi-chan is serving as its temporary Admiral. The reason is why Velzard didn't accept the position is because she said, "I'm not worthy enough to lead such a wonderful fleet." I guess I get it, but I was hoping for Velzard to at least take interest and also lead them in this war. I knew what Velzard's real reason is why. She isn't interested in this one yet as she hates commanding. She likes to fight in the front lines. "Then we're going to proceed with the plan," I said as I smirked. "The plan that I'm talking about is named to the Navy as Operation Mizumin. In this operation, the Navy's goal is to eliminate and destroy all naval vessels of China and Russia. After they complete that objective, the next objective is to target and destroy all naval bases, repair yards, and naval supplies. Once they complete it, they will have a naval blockade to its allies. If the allies of our enemy fired their shot, our Navy will count it automatically as hostile. Then it will be reported back to Umi, then to me." "How about your men, Benimaru-kun?" I asked. "We're ready to move anytime, Rimuru-sama," he replied. "Good, then let's get serious," I then said as I took a sip of my tea. We then talked a little bit more about the operation. As we're done talking, he took his leave. Then short after Shuna also took her leave. Then all of a sudden I received a open double-angle bracket thought communication close double-angle bracket from Shizu. Greater than Rimuru-san, they had started to bombard at our position. "Don't worry though, the barrier that we had set up worked." "Less than," she said as I hear some explosions. "Less than all right, thanks Shizu. I love you," greater than I said to her. "Greater than I love you too, Rimuru-san." Less than she replied with sweetness. Then we cut our open double-angle bracket thought communication close double-angle bracket as I stood up and placed the book back to its shelf. Diablo, Carrera. I called the both of them. They then appeared in front of me kneeling as they bowed their heads. "Hi, Okawa-sama?" they both said at the same time. "I have some task to give you." I said to them. "Kufufufufufu, whatever Okawa-sama gives me, it shall be done immediately," said Diablo. "I await your orders, Okawa-sama," said Carrera. "Diablo, go to a news station in Japan and tell to them that the Chinese and Russians suddenly attacked them," I ordered. "Kufufu, such a easy task will be done, Okawa-sama." He then vanished. "Carrera, intercept the Russian forces in the Kuril Islands," I ordered to her. "It shall be done, Okawa-sama." Then she vanished. "Now then, I shall make my appearance in this media of that world. You made the wrong choice, Dong Deko and Zyuganov." I thought to myself as I went out of my personal library and headed to the dressing room to change my clothes. Sure, I can just snap my fingers and have my clothes change, but this one is not bad as always. Filled circle, filled circle, filled circle. Third POV. As the Russians began their naval bombardment at Pacifico Yokohama National Convention Hall. The Russian Navy who was bombarding it were sure that some of the Japanese high-ranking officials, civilians, especially that Queen of Tempest will die. The officers present at the surprise attack were having some smirk on their faces. All they have to do is to wait the confirmation that all present inside the venue were dead. As the bombardment stops, the combined forces of Russian and Chinese troops went to the supposedly destroyed structure. But they were dumbfounded as they still see that the structure is still standing as if no bombardment happened. All of a sudden, they saw a light of beam coming towards them. As that light beam went close, it just pierced through them. Most of the combined force were shocked to see some of their comrades were dropping one by one. Then, they saw a woman wearing a white blazer with golden lines on it, together with white cape slicing then one by one in inhumane speeds. They saw their heads off, some parts of the limbs and sliced in half. It was very brutal to both enemies and allies alike. "Aren't you going too far, Shizu-sama?" Atami and some of his men thought to themselves as some sweats are visible to their awkwardly smiling faces. "I'm glad that the Prime Minister chose to have an alliance with Tempest." General Makishima thought to himself as he watched the combined forces getting decimated one by the third Queen of Tempest. The commanders of the combined forces began to run for their lives as they knew they can't defeat this individual. But they were quickly shot dead by the SDF Ranger snipers. Seeing some of their commanders are dead, the rest of the combined forces retreated. They were then shot at the back by Atami's forces together with the Isekaigen numbers and Tempest's holy numbers. Then they let one escape. In total there are 2,000 Chinese troops with 4,000 Russian troops, a combined force of 6,000. One of that remained is a Chinese soldier. Now all he has to do is to get back to the temporary HQ to report. On the first day of the operation, it was a one-sided win for the combined force of Tempest and Japan. For now, Yokohama is safe. As the lone survivor arrived at the temporary HQ, he then gave a report about what exactly happened to them. He also told them that he is the sole survivor of the massacre. The commanders there didn't believe him at first, then they had confirmed later on via drone. Then they began the next operation. Black small square black small square black small square. Atami Uji Pav. As we successfully eliminated most of the enemies, we then came back inside the building. Shizu-sama also came back inside, she was covered in blood. "I should have handled it, Shizu-sensei," said Lieutenant General Hinata. "You'll get your turn, Hinata. I needed that as my exercise," Shizu-sama said as her clothes shined, then it was clean as new. "Shizu-sama, we are scheduled to go back in Ginza later on. I should advise that we should go now," Kumiko-san said to Shizu-sama. "But we have to be on standby, isn't that correct?" Shizu-sama asked. "As I know you want it, Shizu-sama, but we should follow on what Rimuru-sama planned for us," she said. "I agree on this one, Shizu-sama," General Makishima said. "I should also go back to the Ministry of Defense's headquarters to report this to the other troops. But I do know they must be alerted by now," the general added. "How about I should stay here with the Isekaigen numbers and Tempest's holy numbers as a stationary vanguard?" the lieutenant general suggested. "I would like to go with Hinata-sama," I said. "You need to go back with us first, Captain Atami," Kumiko-san strictly said. "May I ask why?" I asked politely. "We will be needing you on the War Council later on," Shizu-sama answered my question. "Ha!" I said as I saluted. "General Makishima," Kumiko-san called the general. Hi. Let's go." As the general said that, he then told to the rest of the SDF present in Yokohama that they will be leaving. As we went outside, there are vehicles waiting for us. But there are also some helicopter-like vehicles were also present. "Listen, we are going to ride on Tempest helicopter. The vehicles there will be serving as decoys. We will be arriving at Ginza ETA 4 minutes," Kumiko-san instructed. Then as we are all on board, the rotators started to spin and we lift off from the ground. The sound were amazing. You wouldn't hear it like the usual helicopter we had. Then as Kumiko-san said, we arrived at Ginza 4 minutes later. Diablo Pav. Kufufufu. What an easy task that Okawa-sama gave me. As I left Okawa-sama's personal library, I then went straight to that nation's media station. One of which was Kyoto Television. Its main office was in Chuoku Tsukiji, Tokyo. Of course I went there with manners. I teleported first inside the lobby. The receptionists there were surprised to my appearance. "Excuse me," I said. Hi. She said, surprised and slight fear. I'm here under orders of Okawa-sama. I would like to speak to your president. I said. Do you have a appointment, sir? She asked. No, I don't. But does the name, Rimuru Tempest, would be enough to let me speak to your president? I asked her politely. She then immediately called someone on the device called telephone. Okawa-sama had a similar device called Magulaphones. She would only use it to contact the naval base, or similar bases around the cardinal world. I then observed the receptionist talking to the president via telephone. She was in a panic as she keeps on saying, "Hi," while nodding her head with visible sweats on her face. The president said he would like to meet you. She said. Would you like to be escorted? She then offered. Kufufufu, no thank you. I said to her. Then I teleported to that company president's office. No need to worry as I only teleported myself just outside of his office. I then proceeded to knock on the door. Please come in. He said, sounding nervous. I then opened the door and let myself inside the room. Then I closed the door behind me. Greetings, President San. I greeted. Welcome. Must be one of our Rimuru-sama's servants. Please take a seat. He welcomed me and offered me to take a seat. Then I would be gladly to take your offer. I said as I took a sit. What brings you here, sir? He then asked me. Kufufufu. Nothing much. I just came here to inform you about something. I said as I looked straight into his eyes. Would you like some TTO or coffee perhaps? He politely asked, but his nervousness were clearly visible. I would love some, but I'm here to inform you in such emergency. I said to him with the hint of seriousness. What would that be? He asked. Okawa-sama would like to use the media for a message. I said. What message would that be? If you don't mind me asking. He asked and said. Kufufufu. Did you know that we're under attack? I asked him. What do you mean? He asked nervously. It means, at this moment, Japan and Tempest is at war against China and Russia, who all of a sudden attacked Shizu-sama and the others at Pacifico Yokohama National Convention Hall. I stated the fact. Then there were explosions heard. That he wanted to say something. The attack by them. I said as I finished his sentence. Then this is an emergency. He said, panicking. Calm down. I said. That's why Okawa-sama wanted to borrow this broadcasting company for a bit. I then added. Oh, of course. Our Rimuru-sama may use it. He said as he gave permission. Kufufufu, good choice. I said as I sent a open double angle bracket thought communication close double angle bracket to Okawa-sama that I've done my task splendidly. Rimuru original POV. As I finished changing my clothes, I then went to a mirror to check myself. I'm currently wearing a simple crown, a headband with sunflowers at both sides, a yellow cape with some jewels and a blue dress. For my footwear I wore some low heels. I was then in front of the mirror checking myself. I do really look beautiful, I thought to myself as I placed my hands in front. Less than I agree master. Greater than said seal. Greater than I know right. The similar looks from Shizu is now gone since I used my ultimate form. Less than I said with cheerful voice. Less than master is the true beauty itself. Greater than seal praised me. Greater than I know. But can I please enjoy my quiet time? Less than I said teasing her. Less than. Greater than. And. Seal is quiet again. But then as I was about to make a pose, someone contacted me via open double angle bracket thought communication close double angle bracket. Less than Okawa-sama, I have done my task splendidly. Greater than said Diablo. Greater than good work Diablo. I'll be coming there shortly. Less than I praised him and said. Less than Kufufufu, I'm not worthy of such praise as Okawa-sama. Greater than he said. Then I ended the open double angle bracket thought communication close double angle bracket with Diablo. Greater than seal, set the coordinates for me. Less than I said. Less than on it master. Greater than. Then seal teleported me to Diablo's coordinates. When I arrive in the set coordinates, I was at office. Oh how I miss this, it feels nostalgic. I then saw the president of Kyoto Television's mouth wide open while a part of his soul is leaving him due to shock. Diablo meanwhile just bows his head as he saw me. Since the president is out cold due to shock, I ordered Diablo to make me some tea as I took a sit on the guest chair. As I drank my tea in silence and was enjoying a piece of bread, the president finally woke up. Then as he saw me, he fixed himself, stood up from his chair and went almost close to me. Welcome to my humble place Rimuru-sama. He said nervously. 2. Kosuka Akaji. It's my honor to meet the G goddess. He nervously added. I nodded at this as I took a last bite to the bread I'm eating, then I took a sip. Don't be that stiff and nervous Kosuka-san. I said to him as I smiled. Hi. He said. Then we talked about me facing the cameras as I will announce what is currently happening in Japan. After that, we then went to the broadcasting room and I fixed my appearance. Unknown currency, unknown currency, unknown currency. Third POV. It was at least 10 minutes after the combined forces of China and Russia made the surprise attack on Pacifico Yokohama where Shizu was supposed to announce the projects of Tempest with Japan. By now it was already known nationally. Most of the Japanese people were surprised by this sudden attack made by both nations. Of course there are some foreigners from other countries know about this. They took this opportunity to make a scoop from the current situation. So they posted it on social media. Just in a matter of 3 minutes it became a hot topic. Now, all channels from Japan and around the world suddenly changed and there it was seen the ever-familiar lady from the last Japan's diet meeting. It was none other than our goddess of all omniverse, Rimuru Tempest. How is this possible, you ask? It was due to Rimuru's skill that it switches all of the television channels to the specific one channel. Yes, even if that is outside Japan. As the people around the world are surprised by this, Rimuru purposely cleared her throat for her to be heard and to gain their attention, and it worked without problem. Many were again astonished by her unparalleled beauty. Now most of her followers here on Earth are promoting her beauty, singing praises to her, even bowing their heads in front of the television. Then Rimuru began to speak. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to all. I will once again introduce myself. I'm Rimuru Tempest, Queen of Jura Tempest Federation Queendom, original creator of all Omniverse. At this moment, I'll bring you the present situation happened in Japan. Then she paused for a second to let the people sink the information they just heard. By her current expression she has a fierce look on her face. Most people, especially the ones who saw the trending post currently at social media, knows what Rimuru is talking about. Of course most people were so shocked by this. Some think that Japan deserves it as they lowered themselves to the fake goddess. Meanwhile, Zuganov and Dong Deku are watching this broadcast. They are now waiting what will this fake goddess will have to say about their surprise attack. I'm sure she's currently hurt now that her top-ranking allied general of that JSDF and her queen is dead. Both Dong Deku and Zuganov thought as they watched this with a smirk on their faces. Then Rimuru smiled as she prepares herself on what she will say next. As most of you currently know, Pacifico Yokohama National Convention Hall was attacked by the combined forces of People's Republic of China's forces and Russian Federation's army. They had disguised themselves as foreign tourists, some SDF personnel and MSDF personnel. That is which not detected. Rimuru said as she paused for a second. Quote. Or supposed it was. We detected it early, so we let them for now. Rimuru then revealed this. Most of the people watching and hearing this were so shocked to the core. Especially Dong Deku and Zuganov. Now, about the current situation of Pacifico Yokohama National Convention Hall. It is still standing. It is as if no attacks happened. People from Japan and its current innocent tourists. You may confirm it to yourselves either now or later. Then as Rimuru said this she stopped speaking to let the people digest yet again another information. All of Rimuru's believers in Earth were amazed and proud to their goddess. There were also some people not her believer or also impressed. Some say that it was made up by her. Some didn't believed at this. Then Rimuru began again to speak. Lastly, I would like to conclude that the Chinese leader President Dong Deku and Russian President Zuganov are both guilty of war crimes, such as attacking a nation without a proper declaration of war. Secondly, their willingness to put civilians in danger despite having no combat capabilities. Those who are involved in the war are also guilty with the same said war crimes. In my name, Rimuru Tempest. I will personally judge your wrongdoings. That would be all. As Rimuru ended her proclamation and verdict, she puts back all of the world's TVs to their respective channels. What will happen next is obvious. Most people for now are calm. They think that the fake goddess are just words. But there are a lot of people agreed to what she had said. What China and Russia did were war crimes. As the broadcast air ends, Rimuru was seen having a wide smile on her face. Diablo, who saw this, grew a smirk on his own as he laughs in his usual laugh. Hollow diamond, hollow diamond, hollow diamond. Yao ha adushi pav. It's been busy ever since I last talked to Rimuru-sama. As days passed by, there was a visit by Shizu-sama, Rimuru-sama's wife here in Alness. When I saw her, she was majestic and beautiful. Now, from what I remembered on what Rimuru-sama instructed me to do is to get the elf out from the worsening condition of memory shock. Creating fantasy that someone who is very important to you is still around. That trauma you can't get over. Even if I wasn't there, we just faced the same trouble. That is the flame dragon. Even if I was not there when the incident happened at their village, I knew exactly what happened. This high elf named Tuka is the lone survivor in their village. She was looking for her father, starting to look and hope that her father survived somehow. What I received from Rimuru-sama is to make her face reality. The fact that her father is dead. Now then, it shall be an easy task. I then went as where I will find Tuka. Once I saw her, I said to her that I want to talk something to her. Then that's when I told her that her father had died. She then lost herself. I have done what you have gave me, Rimuru-sama. Now all have to do is to wait for Atami Yuji. Shizu Tempest Pav. As we got back to Ginza, we then immediately went back to the temporary HQ of the SDF. We are then guided by a soldier towards the meeting room. General Makishima is not with us since he went straight back to the Ministry of Defense's headquarters. Few minutes later, the meeting room was filled with persons who are supposed in the meeting. That also includes Captain Atami Yuji, Mas-san, Kumiko-san, Ruminas, Gunther, Defense Minister Kano Taro-san, Lieutenant General Hamaza-san, some Japanese officers, and finally we're waiting for someone. Then there was a knock on the door. Come in, I said. Please pardon my intrusion, Your Majesty. Shiori-sama has arrived, the soldier said as he entered and gave a salute. Then Shiori-san walks in the meeting room and just salutes. Together with her vice commander of the 10th Demon Army from Ariel-san, Felmina-san. Another was an officer in the 10th Demon Army now under command of Rimuru, Wald-san. On behalf of Master, we sincerely apologize for being late, Shizu-sama. Said Felmina-san as she bows her head. I could see that Wald-san did the same. Shiori-san meanwhile slightly bows her head. It's fine, you're not late. I said to them. Please raise your heads, we're just about to start the meeting. I added. Then they raised their heads. Shiori-san then proceeds to her designated seat while Felmina-san and Wald-san is behind her standing on her left and right. The soldier then excuses himself and left the room. I then cleared my throat. Now that everyone is present, I'll start the meeting. I said in an authoritarian voice. I then started to talk about how we just got an surprise attack from the combined forces of China and Russia. Their reactions were of course serious. I could see that most of them are excited for this war. As we are in the meeting, I know that Rimuru-san is currently talking to the world via appearing herself on TV. She must be talking about the current situation. Let's get started with the current war plan that Rimuru-san made. I declared to the room as I put down the war map. As of the current, according to what the reports of the MSDF and the ASDF, the Chinese and Russians does have a fleet. It was currently near Yokohama, Oshima, Miura, Minamiboso, Toshima, Nijima, Kazushima, Miyake, Choshi, Kamasu, Chiba City, and Chiba region. I revealed to them. Some of the Japanese officers were shocked at the moment, most just nodded. There will be also an invading fleet on Wakkanai, Abashiri, and Sapporo from the Russians. Some came from the Kuril Islands, and most came from Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk, and Dalnogorsk in Russia. Although most of you knows this. I said. About that, Shizu-sama. One of the Japanese officers said. What is it? I asked. We will lack some manpower to hold out those 3 defend points. He said. Don't worry. Tempest's forces will be able to back you up. I said as I smile. As that said, Rumina's. I then called her. What is it? Shizu-sama. She answered with a slight irritated voice. I then gave an awkward smile as I said. Provide some air support. Also eliminate all enemy aircraft that will enter in Japanese airspace. I ordered nicely. Oh fine. What choice do I have? She said and asked sarcastically. Shiori-san, please support the SDF in Hokkaido. I know Rimuru-san told you to take command of Tempest's holy numbers. They would be stationed here in Kanto region. I ordered to her. Shiori-san just nods her head in acknowledgement. Then Shizu-sama, is it safe to assume that we have the go signal to use that? One of the Japanese officers asked. That would be on Rimuru-san to decide. For now these will be the end of our short meeting. I said as I dismissed them. By the way, Captain Atami-san. Please stay here for a minute. I said to him. Hi, he said in acknowledgement. Then as the people present left the room, the only ones present were Kumiko-san, Shiori-san together with Felmina-san and Wald-san, lastly Atami-san. I could see that Shiori-san is enjoying her cup of coffee which it doesn't have any caffeine in it. I'll let her be for now. Now, Atami-san. I said. Hi, Shizu-sama. He asked. I will personally order you to return to Alnus and check up on Tuka. I ordered. How about the 1st Japan Tempest Regiment? He asked. Don't worry Atami-san, Moss will take care of it while you are gone. I reassured him. Then, what sort of mission will I do specifically to Tuka? Atami-san asked. You do know about her condition, correct? I asked. He nods. Then, please help her to recover. I don't think she will keep her sanity if this goes on more. I said seriously. Understood. He said as he saluted. Don't be so stiff Atami-san. What about a cup of tea? Or coffee perhaps before you go back in Alnus? I offered. Then, I'll take some cup of coffee, Shizu-sama. Said Atami-san. We then had a mini tea and coffee party. Of course we became a bit less formal in this one. Shiori-san meanwhile left early as she would be formally introducing herself to Tempest's holy numbers. Filled diamond, filled diamond, filled diamond, filled diamond, filled diamond. Question mark. Pav. It has been 9 years since I began teaching here in Tempest Institute of Human Resources Development Academy. I just can't believe that I will be teaching here. I was once a former second princess of Alzano Empire. Because I discovered that I have the powers as a sympathetic amplifier. Due to that, I was banished in the royal family, pronounced that I had passed away from a plague. Then I was adopted into the Fibel family, that is where I became a foster sister of Sisti. Later on I was abducted by the evil mage organization called Researchers of Divine Wisdom. I remember it clearly that I was crying on the ground, there was a conflict happening. I was then saved by a man later on who became my sensei 3 years later. He promised me that he would stay at my side. He was the one who saved me from them. That became my strength for the next 3 years until I met him again. After he saved me from that time, I didn't really got along with Sisti. Then later on we got along well. One day, when Sisti and I were going to school, we saw a man running yelling that we should get out of the way. Sisti then used her open double angle bracket gale blow close double angle bracket blasting the man away, then be landed in the public fountain. By the time he got out from the public fountain and asked if we were alright, he then went close to me and asked if we had met somewhere before. Then he proceeds to touch me. Sisti blasted him again then almost called the police on him. Then we finally got into the academy. By the time we're already in the 2nd year, in class 2. Then we waited for half an hour before finally our substitute teacher arrived. It turns out that it was that same man who touched me earlier. He was lazy to teach us at first, but he got serious as days went by. I will now not tell what happened during those times as it would take a lot of time. Now, together with Sisti and Sensei I mean him, we are now teaching in Tempest. I teach in 1st year of high school. The subject I teach was magic manipulation and amplification. Sisti meanwhile teaches on noble manners, and advanced magic chants. Finally, Sensei teaches to use magic without the chants and also the other ways to chant without saying the original chant. As usual, his class were famous. Never in my life I would be able to wear the Alzano Imperial Magic Academy's professor robe. It was said by Rimuru-sama that we could wear it if we wanted to. Of course, we also wear the standard Tempest teacher's uniform. Also the newest one that Rimuru-sama gave to us. It was very similar to what Hinata-sama and Chloe Kaochu's uniform with the rank and insignia of major. Sisti's rank is the same as mine. But as for Sensei, he was the lieutenant colonel. He may be a treat when it comes to our mage ranking back in the Empire. He still bears the experience in teaching, combat and intelligence. As of the current, Tempest was at war as said by Rimuru-sama herself. Classes were still at usual. Now, I'm preparing myself to go to class 3-1. That would be my first class to teach. Unknown currency, unknown currency. Carrera Pav. I'm now at the place where Okawa-sama ordered me to intercept our enemies. It was already midnight, look at them preparing to invade. Okawa-sama only said to intercept them, it means I can wipe them out. Together with me are Esprit and Agera, who were awaiting for my orders. Alright, it's time to eliminate them all. No survivors, no mercy. I said to them. Show them how they were wrong to defy Okawa-sama. I added. Of course, Carrera-sama. Esprit said. Agera nods. Then we proceed to eliminate these foolish humans to our heart's content. I would be sure that Okawa-sama will be proud to us. Extra chapter. Shiori's introduction. Shiori Pav. As I got out of the meeting room, I ordered the rest of the 10th Army to go in Hokkaido Underwald. Felmina is currently with me going to Pacifico Yokohama National Convention Hall where Hinata was waiting for us. I then teleported together with Felmina. As we arrived, all of troops suddenly saluted together with the bewildered SDF. Of course I just nodded at them and Felmina said to put down their hands. Then I met up with Hinata as I gave her the paper with my words in it. As she read the paper, she just said she will also be leaving now since I'm finally here. Few hours later, I made a short introduction of myself to Tempest's holy numbers. Then Felmina said the rest, from Shizu's orders. Now that I'm here, I can at least enjoy myself for a bit to explore this part of Japan. I never really explored when I was Wakaba hero. Or at least the memories that D inputted to me. So I took this opportunity to at least explore for a bit. I then first went to Motomachi Chinatown. It was already late at night so there was nothing really to see. Then I just decided to go back. As I got back inside, there was apparently a room, it was an temporary office. Then I got inside and on the chair. This is my chance to prove myself to Rimuru. I wouldn't waste this chance, so get ready for me, Rimuru.